SNAFU'd is a podcast that contains adult themes and language. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome back to SNAFU'd, where the situation's normal, all fucked up. This is the podcast where we tell you true stories of true crime, true mysteries, and just truly fucked up shit that happens every day, and then we just forget about it. So we decided to remind you. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Corey, and thank you guys for listening in again. We've been having a lot of fun with this podcast, and we're glad that you guys have been listening with us.
And we have a very special set of episodes for you guys. This is actually a story that got me into podcasting. I did about a month's worth of research before I full out went into let's just do a podcast.
Yeah, she followed this story for a long time before.
I think it fits into both categories. It's true crime, true mystery. We're going to be telling you the story of Fatty Arbuckle, Virginia Rappe, and how he may have caused her death and how she may have caused the end of his career. So the more I started researching, the more weird information I started to hear. So I'm going to say this in both episodes, but you could put us off right now. Turn us off. Go listen to a whole nother episode on this case, Virginia Rappe, R-A-P-P-E, and Fatty Arbuckle. And see what they have to say about it, and come back and then listen to what we have to say, because out of all my research, I only found one that did an accurate, good job, in my opinion.
And, the trick of that is, too, a lot of the research that she's been doing, or we've both been doing, because I've been obviously helping, is...
Shoves glasses up face.
A lot of the research we've been doing just shows that it's a very one-sided historical write-up on this. And, that kind of brings us to the forefront of the life we're living in right now. So this one, it's not what we've been dealing with in the past few years isn't a new situation. It's been going on forever.
Yeah, so basically this case happened almost 100 years ago. And the thing is that the two people that are concerned in this case at the time were famous. People love to read about them in magazines. And it's much like today's, court cases that we're watching with Hollywood elite, fighting each other in court, is who do we know the most? Who provided us with what? Who do we love the most? And who do we believe? So even today, we're still talking about this case because other people are talking about it. And in my belief, they're talking a lot of shit to the wrong person. But I don't want to tell my listeners how to judge. I think our listeners are pretty smart, and I want them to figure it out on their own without having to go read a bunch of different websites or stories. I mean, we're going to post all the websites online so that you can see for yourself, but just go listen to a couple podcasts. Come on back and you can listen to this. But what we're going to do is we're going to separate into two pieces. We're going to give you the backstory on the two characters.
So, obviously there's two people playing roles in this. There's Fatty and there's Virginia. And we want to make sure that we tell both their stories so that you can kind of understand, one, who they are, two, the cultural significance of at least Fatty and Virginia, because she, in her own breath, is no slouch at all. And then we're going to kind of dive into where the court cases are and everything that goes around the situation that when these two met and what had happened.
Yeah. So for the first episode of this, buckle in. We're going to get you into the backstory of these two to know why they mattered and who they really were.
So I'm gonna actually tell the story of Virginia Rappe, and she was born to Mabel Rappe. Obviously, there's a bit of a name change later on. I'll get to that in a moment. Who's a 17 or 18-year-old unwed chorus girl in Chicago, Illinois. And Virginia was born on July 7th in 1891. But like most women, she's going to be changing her birth year all the time and lying about her age.
First of all, I think it's fully all right. I think you hit a certain age in your mind, it tells you, and you just are allowed to say whatever age you feel like, especially if you can get away with it. More kudos to you.
Of course. And, just to kind of give a testament to what she was doing, her headstone reads 1895 when birth records will show 1891.
Oh, she's good.
So she's very, very good. And her mother, Mabel's just kind of, she comes out a little bit of nowhere. She, her biggest claims to fame were that she ended up in the newspaper twice.
Fancy.
2 days before Christmas, Mabel ended up in the newspaper for getting locked into a closet at the Chicago Veterans Building by a janitor.
What the hell?
And a few years later, 1898, she was again in the paper when she was arrested for passing bad checks in association with, quote, the most dangerous gang of forgers the police have dealt with in years. So, who knows what she's doing, but she's doing a lot of different things to get herself in the paper.
She doesn't, first of all, weird. Second one, she's not running with the right crowd.
Yeah, I mean, that leads us to sometime between 1901 and 1905, Virginia and her mother end up living in New York City, so they end up leaving Chicago. And before the age of 30, Mabel had died. That leaves Virginia an orphan at 11 years old.
It's like something we seem to see a lot at like that time where people lose their
it's
parents.
1900.
When they're really young.
Like, people don't live as long as, I mean, that's just what I think. I just automatically just brush under the rug, oh, that's what happened back then because we didn't have modern technologies.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like that. When you look at the number, to me, it doesn't feel like that long ago that people, but it was really common.
I mean, you look at the technology age, though, and that hasn't, like, modern technologies, as we know, has been, like, since the 50s. Even during World War II, you have not what we have today.
I can't wait to be a robot, a cyborg.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for because human bodies are terrible. So little orphan Virginia ends up moving back to Chicago to live with her grandmother and her aunt. And it's not necessarily easy for anyone who's raising her because she's an energetic little girl who, was the type of person who enjoyed roller skating, all sorts of sports, and she was big into dancing. By the age of 16, Virginia begins her modeling career, and this is when she changes her name from Rappe, R-A-P-P, to Rappe, R-A-P-P-E. Maybe trying to go for a little bit of a French type of swirl to it.
It's classier.
Maybe. I mean, it's French, so. Virginia has dark hair and these deep dark eyes, and she becomes a very favorite model for the Chicago scene. Or in 1894, just to take a step back, was the first couture models that showed up in the United States. And by 1904 was the first year that runway shows started. And Shannon had to take me aside for this one and sit me down in front of the movie Grey Gardens.
Yeah.
Just to get, if you guys don't understand what we're looking for. But runway modeling back then isn't exactly what we're thinking of today. It's more models are wearing the clothes of a store, a department store, and they're kind of walking a runway, catwalk type of thing.
An actual runway with people sitting down, watching them, maybe enjoying like dinner or drinks.
Yeah, and just showing off the styles. And this is the scene that Virginia had gotten herself into. She also started posing for commercials and posed for some artists. She just kind of did a lot of different odd jobs that related herself to the modeling department. In 1908, she gets recognized by the Chicago Tribune, who runs a small piece with the headline of, "Are the models of Chicago more beautiful than the famous models of Paris?" And it featured 2 pictures of Virginia and followed an article, that's basically stating that she's one of the most famous models in the U.S. She's young and beautiful, and she's a go-getter.
I wonder how much she paid him for that.
See, and that's actually not too far off because there's a very big chance that she could have written an article like this for herself.
Oh, really? Like, you think she wrote it?
She's one of those Renaissance women who have, they can do everything. So the article kind of continues on, talks about Virginia being a simple little girl of 15 years old who looks out into the world with clear, dewy eyes of a child. They're just kind of giving a little bit of a backstory to her being this like girl next door type of person who enjoys being with her family and animals. She's just happy making other people happy type of person. In September of 1911, she ends up working for the Mandel Brothers department store in downtown Chicago as both a cashier and model. So, she's already starting to branch out of just being a pretty face and can count, which is more than I can say for most people today.
I can't count.
Which more than I can say for Shannon. And the next year, October of 1912, Virginia and her friends, they're living together in New York City. And at this point, Virginia is a full-time model and one of the first Americans who can list modeling as her occupation. So she's...
So like another first.
Yeah, she's blowing things out of the water. She's... one of the first couture models, and she's definitely one of the first to list it as her full occupation. She starts traveling the country, modeling at the large department stores, the predecessors to Macy's and Sears, those types of things. In
even then, like, big department stores were just starting to they were brand new. Before mass production of clothing, people actually used to have to go to tailors and get, like, provide clothing that was somewhere and get it fitted to yourself.
Yeah, that was what my family actually did.
What?
I forgot what, my father's side, one of the great-grandparents.
Oh, was a tailor.
Was a tailor, yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like, my dad made us all go get fitted clothing, and I was like, are you Mormon? Like...
Sometimes. We're Amish. We built our house all on our own.
Oh my God.
Then I left, and now I do this. They'd go absolutely shit crazy.
They must be so proud.
You're on the computer? That's the devil's machine. All right, and back to the story. In 1913, like I'm saying about that other piece that Virginia probably wrote, she's actually an author for an advice column that's printed in a newspaper across the country. She portrays herself as a commercial model who travels over the United States and Europe at a salary of over $4,000 a year. And this is when she kind of breaks the mold of what you're expecting from the first female model, or first, like, major female model. She advises She advises women not to be stenographers, don't be secretaries, think outside the box. Be original. Every girl can be that. So, at a time when most women are trying to go get an office job to be a secretary and help take notes for men, she's telling you to step outside your box and go do something unique and different.
Yeah, she wasn't just saying, like, don't do that. Don't go, get a job. She was just being like, if you really want work, think of something unique
you can
that
do
use
anything.
You. And that's kind of inspirational.
And on top of being a model and, being an author, she also owns her own clothing line. And this is a line that she started designing in 1914. So, these past few years since she moved to New York are very, very busy for her. By 1915, she relocates to San Francisco, in part to market her designs at the World's Fair.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know what the World's Fair is, just go to Epcot. But, Epcot's based on the World's Fair.
Oh.
World's Fair is a giant fair for the whole world.
The whole world?
The whole world, everybody. And, you sell designs or technology, your famous celebrities will show up. And it's just one of those things that the whole world can kind of get around together and share ideas and culture. So she was trying to get involved with that. During this time when she's in San Francisco, she becomes friends with a dancer named C.D. Spreckles, who marries a millionaire and subsequently...
Cindy Sparkles?
Cindy Spreckles.
Okay.
Yeah, not Sparkles, but I mean, we're going to go with Sparkles. That seems more right for a dancer. And she marries a millionaire and becomes ushered into the high society. In May of 1915, there are 4 syndicated newspaper articles about Virginia's latest clothing creations with photographs accompanying them. She's touted in the paper as a woman who was raising fashion to the plane of fine art, which, no one has to tell you that that's a big deal to be called that.
It's a huge, compliment to someone doing, and again, the whole fashion world is starting to change, and so, there's a lot of commercialism, but to go to, haute couture, I guess, the fashion models and stuff like that, you had to design something forward-thinking. This is the birthplace of that. So that's a huge compliment to her. At
this point, she's dating and gets engaged to a dress designer by the name of Robert Moskowitz. So I'm not going to ever try to say his name again.
He's a mouse.
But
Moskowitz.
Robert here was struck by a trolley car in San Francisco later that year, and he died.
That got real sad real fast.
So she's all engaged to this nice dress designer, and then he dies.
Can you imagine anything more perfect? And that sucks.
Getting hit by a trolley car is not all that perfect.
No, being a dress designer and she's into
dating
fashion and a model and that's just, she had her love, and to be killed that way is horrendous.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't disagree with you there. In spring of 1916, she ends up leaving San Francisco and making her way to Los Angeles to chase a new career in motion pictures. So unlike Fatty, who we've been told, was kind of avoiding getting into the motion picture scene, and
we'll talk about that.
So as we'll get into that, she dives face first into feet first, not face first. Maybe face first, maybe everything first. She belly flops into motion pictures.
That's my favorite flop.
And, so she just dives right into this, and she moves in with her, she becomes friends with a film star by the name of Louise Glom, and she moves in with her aunt from Chicago, Kate Hardebeck. By 1917, Virginia's still modeling across the country, but she's also scored her first lead role in the film Paradise Garden with Harold Lockwood.
So, as soon as she gets there, she gets a role in movies.
Yeah, she was getting involved with it beforehand, and then being famous in her own right probably helps boost her career quicker. You can't just show up in Hollywood.
I think you can.
Many
but
people
you're going to
do.
be a background person for a long time.
But if you come from something first, then it's probably a lot easier. That's why people like musicians or
I just wouldn't even downplay it.
Michael
I think
Jordan
that's
show
amazing.
up. But I'm not trying to downplay it at all. So in 1917, she also starred in a film with Rudolph Valentino and Julian Eltinge, who's an early drag performer. So that's kind of neat.
It's like the first?
Yeah, probably. It's 1917. It's probably the first drag performer.
Well, for movies.
Yeah. And this is for a film called The Rhine. She was awarded the Best Dressed Actress in Pictures, or Best Dressed Girl in Pictures award for this.
Yeah, because patriarchy definitely made those kind of titles. Best Dressed Girl, Prettiest Girl.
They definitely did, but I'm not trying to support or deny patriarchy.
Hey, that's history.
I know, I'm just saying. It's why
We're just reporting what it was
why we
like.
still watch Speedy Gonzales sometimes. So
Actually, I heard that the Mexican peoples wanted it back when they tried to take it off the air.
Well,
He's awesome.
They even released Disney's released a few different DVDs with it where it's we're not trying to edit our cartoons from what they were. We made them, and times have changed. We're still going to show them in the original style.
And yet, every picture of Walt Disney has the cigarette he's holding edited out.
Yeah, it happens.
Every single one. Everyone has usually had him holding one too, because the man smoked everywhere. That was the habit.
Yeah, it's
so go look at any picture of Walt Disney, look at his hands, and it'll be making this weird freaking motion. It's awesome.
So this film, The Rhine, was released in 1920, and it was retitled The Adventurous, and later again in 1922 as The Isle of Love. So the 20s, that's what, World War I? That's when we're probably blowing up Germans. So we're renaming this movie a few different times when we're re-releasing it under different names. Because of the political climate at the time, they were just changing the name of the film to not make it seem like it's going to be some propaganda film or whatever. In 1918, Virginia began a relationship with the Austro-Hungarian director/producer named Henry Lerman. By 1920, she was living with him in his home, and they had become engaged. This time,
that was fast too.
At this time, with this guy at her side, she has her own limo driver, gets her own personal trainer. Virginia's starting to really feel like a star at this point, because it's exactly what current Hollywood has.
Oh my god, even then, the starlets had their own personal trainers.
Yeah.
I want my own personal trainer.
Well, you can afford one, and you have to rent them. They were building Rappe's role in Hollywood to be one of the wealthiest and most beautiful young women of Western America, and the richest girl of stage or screen. And this is
I thought she was basically an orphan.
Well, and you're not wrong there. She is, an orphan, but they have to typecast her to get her roles in Hollywood. That happens nowadays. It's going to happen back then, too. So they're trying to make her this most glamorous person. And we have to remember, a lot of the money is coming from her partners. But she is designing her own clothing company, so she's got money in her own right as well. She's not just the type of woman who's living off of her husband or her fiancé at this point. So they're just making her, they're giving her her whole typecast and her whole setting that's going to try to define her in Hollywood. And by this time, the first production from Lerman, he features his fiancée Rappe in a film called Twilight Baby with Lloyd Hamilton. A bunch of these names, just if someone else is understanding and being a big Hollywood buff, you guys will know them. I won't. But, we need to make sure that everyone involved is around. So she'd appear in 4 of Lerman's movies, if not more, because back then, these films were very, very fragile, and it's so easy to lose them to fire or flood or have them stolen. So we don't necessarily have exact records. There's no IMDb for movies from the 19-teens.
Yeah, and the thing was, movies weren't hours long. They weren't 3 hours long. They were 20 minutes, 40 minutes long. And like Corey was saying, like they could burn up, they would disappear, or your name might not even show up. Like at the very beginning of movies, people weren't even having like their real names like listed like on the screen itself. And actually the studios, once that started happening and people started getting famous in their own right, studios didn't like it and tried that to keep that from happening.
Yeah, and and even if they use a pseudonym, then we might have movies that are Virginia Rappe, but she went under a different name, so we don't know.
Yeah, how are you going to recognize a fuzzy black and white face in the far, far background from a movie that's not been taken care of?
Right? Exactly. And, she continues to model. She's also the model for the sheet music for Let Me Call You Sweetheart.
We know that one.
Do we? Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
I was hoping I could almost get you to sing it.
Nope, I'm not singing that one. She's attending Hollywood parties. At this time, she even is winning dance contests at the Santa Monica Resort. She's basically living her best life. Everything that she wanted to do when she was younger, she's doing now.
Everything I wanted to do, she's doing now.
2 months before Labor Day, Lerman had lost everything. This is in 1921, and then he moves to New York City. Something happened with his company, and Virginia actually moves back in with her aunt in San Francisco.
Oh, they break up?
They don't necessarily break up, but they definitely are living separately now. At this time, when she has this falling out with Lerman, she's not really socializing much and may have been hoping to rekindle her romance with Lerman. Her aunt said at this time that Virginia's chief delight was tramping around the hills around Hollywood with her dog.
And, I mean, define that quickly.
Yeah, so she's walking a little shih tzu around Hollywood.
Yeah, she's not being a tramp out in the hills.
Oh, right, yeah. So I know definitions of words, and tramping is just kind of like trouncing or frolicking around and just kind of goofing around.
Yeah, she's just taking long hikes out in the woods with her dog to, because she's sad and she doesn't want to be out, but she wants to, in a way to be alone. She goes out there.
And so she's been doing that. On July 7th in 1921, Rappe turned 30. Although she's not telling anyone that.
She doesn't have
been lying about her age. She's not going to tell people she's 30. The day before her birthday, an actor from Lerman's production company named Billy Ritchie, who had acted in Twilight Baby, had died. And then the day after her birthday, he was buried. So there's not much of a big celebration for Virginia's birthday for this year, for her 30th.
Yeah, all her friends are doing the funeral thing. She's probably upset. Her friend is dead.
And this is also the year that, the same year that her mother would have died at when she was 30.
Yeah. So
it's got to be a somber little year for Virginia.
Trust me, I don't really know any woman that likes to tell any guys, "Oh, it's my 30th." Like,
no, I don't think I've met a single one. I've met some girl I know. I've met her twice, and she's been 29 both times. So
that's interesting.
And it's definitely been at least a year between each.
Your OK Cupid's interesting.
That's not even that. That's just bar.
Oh gosh, she picked a number. She's sticking with it. She's probably like 35.
So that's the background for Virginia. It's getting Virginia all the way living in San Francisco and to being when she's 30. So like I said, we're playing with both parts here, and we're going to be telling the story of Mr. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle to go along with this.
Yeah, so let's leave poor Virginia on her trip to get away from everything on our way to San Francisco, and we'll lead over to Fatty, because Fatty Arbuckle is the guy we all know, whether or not you think you do. If you think about the silver screen and you see a big old fat man, there he is. That's Fatty Roscoe Arbuckle. And I want you to tell his backstory, because he is so beloved throughout the time that this all goes on, and in his own right, he is a genius at what he does. He's a comedic actor. He's a singer. He's very talented.
He's got that big physical humor like you see in the Three Stooges or the likes of like Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler.
Yeah, and he was doing it in the day. It's so smooth. Only a true professional could have done that. Like, actors today need to take so many takes. These guys are doing it in 1 or 2.
It's probably like seeing like the ancestor to Chris Farley.
Oh man, he probably is the ancestor to Chris Farley. But I wanted people to get a sense of who he was and how maybe the people of his time felt about him. Because, he kind of had a rough and tumble upcoming just like Virginia did. So, Let's dive into it. Here he is. On March 24th, 1887, not that long ago, Mary Arbuckle gave birth to her youngest child near Smith Center, Kansas. He was born in a primitive sod house.
What's a sod house?
Okay, so a sod house is, it's like what people who were moving into westward where cities weren't at and they had more fertile soil and it's not, there wasn't a lot of trees, or it's just, you're not staying there that long, so you're not going to cut down a bunch of trees and try and build a cabin. It's just like a hole in the ground with like more of a sod roof, a grass, like hay roof.
So like in a dirt mound?
Yeah.
Like a glacial moraine type of thing.
It was a glacial moraine.
When the glaciers retreated from the northern parts of the United States and the central parts of the United States, they would leave these big tracts where you have these higher mounds of sand, sediment, dirt, gravel, soil, whatever you want to call it, and they would just leave it because the way they retreated, it was seasonal, so you'd have these ups and downs in the environment, and you have what are called mounds, and then also ridge and runnels would be what you see at the beach nowadays, but they're glacial moraines. They're just giant mounds of soil that were placed there by the glaciers when they were melting.
Yes, but these are made by people, and they live in them.
Okay, well, these could be hollowed out. I didn't realize we were dealing with Fatty Von Hobbit here, so...
Yeah, well, and that's where he's born, so God bless Mary Arbuckle, because I feel bad for her enough. But this isn't bad enough, because the baby weighs 13 pounds, and
What's a normal baby? I have no idea.
We're talking anywhere between, like, 6 to 9 pounds.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe a little heavier. 13 is just ridiculous number, and it seems like that's probably more mythos coming down than anything, but it's more or less the number that comes down with everyone. And so she, that birth is rumored to give her problems, which obviously would give almost anybody problems. And then on top of that, she and her husband are both really skinny people. So how in the hell did two really skinny people just give birth to this fat little baby?
Because the mailman.
Which would be... Okay, no. But at the sod house.
Maybe. I mean, they still get mail.
Either way, Daddy Arbuckle was demanding that this is not his baby. And he was so bitter over this child that instead of leaving everybody, leaving his family, his children, his wife, this bastard child, he just chose to raise it and name it after the person he hated the most.
And who is that?
Republican Senator Roscoe Conkling, who was most famous for having a reputation of being a philanderer and just a general all-over shitty person.
Great.
Yeah.
It's our very own Roy Moore.
When Arbuckle was only 2, the family sold their farm and all of their equipment and moved from Kansas to Santa Ana, California. And they did so in a horse-drawn wagon. So they were literally doing like a westward bound
Oregon
Trail fucking covered wagon move.
That's great.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Arbuckle, or we'll call him Little Fatty. Little Roscoe would
call
be
him
better.
Fatty. That's
No,
what we know
I
him
know.
as.
Little Roscoe, he's a chunky kid.
Yeah.
Like, Dad had a problem when he was born, and the problem's not going away. And I'll just say that because almost as soon as they settled, William deserted them, and he heads north looking for work. Very soon, his sons Harry and Arthur would follow him. So basically, they all move west into California, and then Mary gets deserted with a almost newborn toddler. I mean, monster of a child, like he's 2, right?
I mean, any child's a monster. But...
yeah, but those terrible 2s, like, destructor there, and you're just like, your husband leaves you in a new place. Like, it's not very easy going for anybody, let alone, like, a woman with a brand new child. So she's left alone because her sons then also leave and follow with Dad, and then the daughters essentially they leave the home, like they get married, they kind of move out, so it's just Mary and little Roscoe. And so Roscoe starts working around the age of 5 in town, delivering packages for shopkeepers so he can earn money for him and his mom to, like, live on.
Yeah, that's why you have kids, so they can earn money for you.
His habit for most of his, like, childhood would be to attend school randomly. Especially after 2nd grade, he just fucking hated it. Like, it was the worst. Like, his mother thought he was at school, but, you know, what she didn't know was that while he was there, the kids would tease him, and they would physically kick him, and they would just make fun of him, and that already he was given the name of Fatty by the time he was in elementary school. He was just a chunky little kid, and he just didn't like being there. And so, like,
I can't blame him for that one, though.
Yeah, but at this time, it's not like public school. Like, mom doesn't drop you off every day. Teacher's not keeping account. Like, if you miss a day, they're not reporting. They're not calling home.
Yeah.
Like, they don't give a shit. Most kids didn't even go to school if they lived out at a farm. They were on the farm working. So it was a blessing if you could even go to school, but you didn't even have to. So for him, his mom at least thought he was going, but he wasn't. He was getting teased for being chunky, probably for not having a dad, and most days he would skip school. So instead, he usually went swimming or fishing, or he just basically started hanging around, like, the local vaudeville stages, which is, for most people who aren't familiar...
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what is vaudeville?
They're very famous, like, stage acts that used to travel the country, and it would be a giant stage, and this is long before, like, movie theaters, all that kind of stuff. Like, movies and films are very recent, and, like, plays are not. But on top of plays, like, most people, like, it's hard to sit still for several hours, 2, 3, 4 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Especially, like, the general populace who just wants something to go fucking do for an hour or two. So vaudeville kind of goes around that centric of a comedy or a circus. Like, they have a bunch of random acts. Some are comedies, some are just actors, some are people doing acrobats. And so these troupe of people would travel the country and entertain you and then pack it up and move to another stage.
So kind of like a traveling circus in a way.
Yeah, but never in a circus setting, always on a
Right.
stage. So obviously things like where Houdini came from. So at age 8 is when Roscoe Arbuckle got his first break into acting.
And how did this happen?
And, well, he is watching one of these vaudeville shows, and he ends up watching one of Frank Bacon's company's, like, vaudeville acts.
So is this like Kevin Bacon's great-great-grandfather?
I'm sure it is. Everybody's
Makes
five
most
ways
sense.
related, and if anybody has to get related that far back, it's going to start
The last
way.
thing's going to be Bacon.
So on that day, little Roscoe, he's a little chunky kid. He's hanging around the back and he's watching the actors on stage, and they're preparing for, like, their first show, and they're doing a musical review called Turned Up. And
Isn't that like Turned Up? Isn't that what the kids
no,
say today?
that's what we're doing it again now. That's the remake now, Turned Up.
Oh, okay.
But this is Turned Up. And so one of the actors is a local boy, and he's supposed to play, like, a small part, but he doesn't show up for final rehearsal. So again, when these shows traveled around the country, they would have the main actors stay with them, but, like, little roles like that, since you're not going to be there long, it's not for the company's best interest to travel with a child actor. So mostly they get into town and they would hire the local kids, and they would, you know, rehearse with them for the first couple weeks and then do the shows. This kid doesn't show up, and, you know, Frank's pissed off, and he starts looking around because he's stressed out. We got to fill out this role. And he's looking around, and the very first thing that hits his eye is little, fat, 8-year-old Fatty Roscoe Arbuckle. And so he's like, you know what, kid, you're in this, you know, you're in the show.
He
and
got drafted to be in the show.
oh man, this kid is so freaking excited, he can't even handle it. And what's worse is that this is his first starring role. He's very excited. And it's also blackface.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a thing still. I forgot about that.
It's a very big thing in vaudeville, and in fact, one of my personal hobbies is collecting first edition books. It's like a really weird thing, but I really love it. And again, as I say in almost every episode, I grew up in the South, and I had once found this book when I was like 13, so I had no idea what I was seeing, and I wish I had bought it at the time, but I didn't.
Yeah, well, 13-year-old anybody is not all that bright.
Had no idea what I was looking at, and it was a vaudeville book, and I'm talking, it's as thick as a family Bible. Like, it's a dictionary size, and it was full of vaudeville acts, but it was also full of, like, blackface acts and sing-alongs and all sorts of, like, things for the act. So, basically, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And what would happen is like vaudeville blackface would be usually white people playing black people. As in, they would portray them by smearing their face and limbs with, like, black makeup or...
like shoe grease?
Shoe grease in particular. Like, it's not as... like, today when you go on stage and you can pull out some makeup. Like, back then, they would just grab, like, literally nasty shoe grease and just wipe it down, mostly where clothes wouldn't cover.
Yeah.
Because what a pain in the ass to get that off, which they deserve. But, and then they would make the lips, like, extra, like, they wouldn't put it so close to the lips.
Yeah, they just make it a little bit more...
they would make it at least, like,
racist.
6 inches out, and then they would use some kind of red paint there, and then they would act like basically like a redneck hick, or like an idiot. So, it didn't matter to Fatty that this was his first role. Like, this was just his first role. I don't know, like, he's just so excited, and then as soon as he walks out to do the role, they realize, like, he doesn't have the stockings, and so, Mr. Bacon tells him, go home and go grab your black stockings, boy, and come on back, and we'll do the show, because they're only interested in, like, painting his face, like, they don't want to waste actual shoe polish on all of this, so, he starts bawling. Directly in front of the whole cast, Mr. Bacon.
Oh, right, because he's playing, like, hooky the whole time, right?
Yes, he can't go home. I can't tell my mom, like, she can't find out I was skipping school. So, like, he's bawling. This little butterball is bawling, and he's like, just Bacon loses his shit. Like, just stop. Just
Stop
fine.
making noises like that, kid.
And he's like, everybody just deal with it. And he just, like, walks away. And obviously the cast feels for the kid. And they, do the makeup, cover up it. They do their roles and everything goes off without a hitch. It's fantastic for him. And, that's the thing one more thing about history. Is you have to explain what history is, and you have to explain it as in, like, look, this is what it is, point blank. This is how people acted, this is what it was about. And then this is how we see it today, and we have to realize how people saw it back in the day.
Yeah, of course.
An 8-year-old child doesn't know any better. He saw actors, he was excited. That's all I'm going to go with. Basically, he started receiving 50 cents a week for 3 weeks of shows, which is a huge deal at that time for him, and it's really helping his family. And he's just lying to his mom, and he's telling her that he's getting it for sweeping the floors of, like, the local shops.
Yeah.
And eventually his mother finds out, and although she's incredibly religious, which would have been the problem, this is the whole reason why he's hiding it from her in the very beginning, because she's so religious, he thinks she's going to hate it for that reason. So... once she finds out, I think she basically just saw how happy her child was.
What kind of... Wait. Let's go back for a second there. What kind of religion is going to be upset that you're acting and you're having fun and, like...
all of them.
Really?
Yeah. You're a Catholic, you know that.
I mean, yeah, but I'm Catholic. We're, like, the only ones that are always going to hell no matter what.
Okay, I mean, think of it the very early, like, Puritans and the Baptists and the Bible thumper, like, they came from the out west. It's very hard-living people. Maybe the only book you read is the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
So...
So it's definitely not people having,
definitely actors and acting isn't the lifestyle you want your children to be imitating. You want them to be living holier, but basically at this point, she's long been abandoned by her husband and most of her children, and she just has this little boy that's trying to help her as best she can, and she wants him to be happy. And right now she's running, like, She has a house. They all had a house that they moved into, and he abandoned her. So she and him are living in a back room in that house, and they're renting out all the other rooms to people to live in. So she is a caretaker for this house. So I imagine he hid it from her thinking, Mom's going to hate this, and she's going to tell me not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Yet I'm making money. And when she finally discovers it, she's just not that mad. He's happy. It's making money.
Dollar bills, yo.
She loves her son.
Yeah, but you know what happens when you make more money.
So by the age of 12, he weighs 185 pounds.
I don't even weigh that much.
So me either. Thank you very much. And so for our international listeners, that would be about 13 stones, 3 pounds, or 84 kilograms.
People use stone? What, are we in Middle Earth?
Shh. I like those people, and I would like someone to offer me to stay there and show me everything because I enlighten them so much on history.
I think that's where communism starts.
Dreams are for dreams, are for, you know. So anyways.
No.
He had been acting in almost every children role that had come through town in like the local vaudeville acts through the local theaters for about the last 4 years. But at age 50 in 1899, his
50
mom...
50 or 15?
50.
Okay, 50.
Listen to the story.
We just jumped around.
In 1899, his mom, Mary Arbuckle, she died.
Oh yeah, those are some lifelong problems from him.
Yeah, he's about 12. She's 50. She dies. They're going to blame it on his birth 12 years ago because he's a fatty.
Yeah.
Or reality is she had a ton of children. She literally did the Oregon Trail, basically.
And she was 50.
And she was living on
1850,
her own, trying to cut out a living. Yeah, like, insane.
She's 50 in the 1800s.
Yeah. Also, she made it to 50. She's basically an old person then.
Yeah.
In the 1800s. Goes away.
Congratulations, you made it.
But now that we are not in that time frame of living,
yeah, we're
thank
living
God,
way too long nowadays.
Roscoe goes to stay with his older married sister, Nora. And he stays with her for about several weeks. And then afterwards, she sends him onward north to be with his dad. You know, the guy that abandoned him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah. So William Arbuckle owned a hotel in Watsonville about 360 miles away. So little Roscoe, at the age of 12, rides on the train to Watsonville. Just like he's told, he is going to sit there. He's not going to talk to anybody. He's only going to talk to the people that work on the train. And he is only going to leave when somebody comes to pick him up. His ticket is only about $2.50. And, you know, that's exactly what's in his pocket. And he's got a cardboard suitcase sitting at his feet with all the clothes he owns. Like, that's it. That's all this kid has, like, left. Now his mom's dead. So the train pulls into the station, and he's sitting at the station, and he ends up being there for hours. I mean, I'm talking hours. Nobody comes to pick him up, but he doesn't do anything because kids at those times, they listen to what people told them to do.
Yeah,
and
they
was
weren't little
told
fucking
not,
hood rats.
Right. He's told not to go anywhere, especially with this man to come pick him up. Like, that's not happening. Eventually, the staff feels so bad that they come up to him and they just ask him, like, you know, who are you waiting for? Where are you supposed to be going? And he explains, like, who he is, like, how he's supposed to be going to this hotel a couple blocks away. It's his father's hotel. They walk him over there. One of the railroad workers walked him the couple of blocks to his dad's hotel. And as soon as they get there, he finds out that his dad had sold the hotel and moved away.
That's a great father.
He is a piece of shit. Like, I don't want to deal with this kid. I'll just move away. So the hotel staff, not knowing what to do, takes pity on this poor little 12-year-old who's just sitting in their freaking lobby with his suitcase and saying, my dad owned this hotel, and they're saying, well, he's gone. So they eventually give him a room, and it's right off the kitchen, and they're just letting him work doing odd jobs in order to earn just that room and meals to eat. So if you think things are lean, you know, it could get worse.
Yeah.
And when things were worse for him, like when they didn't have little odd jobs for him to do, the only way he made money was singing for guests. So, like, that was his little, like, shtick at
His side hustle.
12, was to sing for guests while they're eating, like, dinner or hanging out in the lobby, and, like, he made up for his meals. So while he's doing this one day, one of the guests who was frequenting that hotel happened to be a professional singer. And while he overheard Roscoe singing, he, like, walked over and was very interested and told him, you should perform at the amateur talent show that I'm working at. Like, you have a good voice. So basically, this talent show was the kind where an audience would sit in the crowd and judge either by clapping or by jeering. So for when the performer would come on stage, if you would clap for them, they might even win the award.
Yeah.
Or if you started booing and jeering and yelling enough, they would literally use a hook, like a shepherd's hook, and they would rip you off stage.
So just like you see in Looney Tunes.
Yeah, but it used to be a real fucking thing. Like, if you were just shitty at whatever you were doing,
I figured it had to come from somewhere. But...
they would yank you off of stage. So, little Fatty thought this was an awesome idea. No, little Roscoe shows up, and he decides he's going to sing 2 songs. He sings his 2 songs, and when he finishes, the crowd is just, they're going wild for this kid. They love him. He sings so good.
Yeah.
They're screaming for an encore. So he starts to improvise. He's using everything he's ever seen in all the vaudeville acts he's ever seen in, like, all those years he's been on stage. He starts dancing. He starts rolling onto the floor. He's leaping about and, like, somersaulting. And he's just making the whole crowd, like, just die in laughter. And this is not what's supposed to be happening. Like,
right.
He had his turn, he's supposed to be off. So, not wanting the laughs, he doesn't want this to stop. He just keeps going, and so they finally pull the shepherd's crook out just to get him the hell off of the stage. And he just, he's getting so crazy trying to avoid the hook that he ends up somersaulting into the orchestra pit.
Oh, that's going to go real well. I'm sure they love that, though.
They actually did. It was fucking hilarious. He won first prize. It was $5, and he started becoming a regular to the show after that.
Can't blame him.
I wouldn't either. That definitely helped him win. What we do know is that by the age of 13, the United States Census shows that Roscoe ended up living with his father. So at some point, I'm sure somebody got in touch with his dad and was like, pick up this fucking kid.
Come take your child.
And he did. He wasn't a poor schmuck. Like, he owned businesses. Like, for him to keep abandoning this kid and the kid keep talking about him, just like it was wrong. Because, look, he was married to another woman and he literally had 8 other children. So for the first time in his life, Roscoe is actually living with his father in person since they got to California, since after he was like 2 or 3 years old and they did a fucking wagon drive. Like, now this guy's a regular presence and he's literally a drunk who just beats the living hell out of him. He hates him. He already named him after someone he hated, and the kid didn't get any skinnier, doesn't look like him.
Yeah.
So anything that goes wrong is just taken out on poor Roscoe. At this point in time, yeah, he's still skipping school. But instead of going swimming, he's really just doing odd jobs around town, like cleaning out the local saloon. He's serving coffee and donuts at his dad's hotel restaurant.
Not a bad gig.
Right? Donuts, I'm down. And he's still, like, doing weird acting gigs using, like, vaudeville tricks, especially at the bar. So when he's cleaning the saloon and he's trying to get a few extra, like, cents, or he wants a cigarette, he'll literally just do a jig for them, or his big ass will belly flop onto the floor. And I'll pay a couple quarters for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I probably would too.
I try and get people to belly flop everywhere I go that has a pool. Like, you know me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna win. But if you don't ask, it doesn't happen. At 17, in 1904, Mr. Sig Grodman invited Arbuckle to sing in his theater in San Francisco. So Roscoe actually got a real offer to do a real singing job. Like, he's not giving up on singing in the theater, and whatever acts come through, he does. And so this guy heard him and offered him a job. And afterward, he joined the Pantages Theater Group. And he ended up, like, touring the whole west coast of the United States. and he was just singing illustrated songs for about $17.50.
What's an illustrated song?
Okay. So, probably for the month, he was making $17.50 for singing illustrated songs. So when they traveled the countryside along the West, they would play like a short film, like a projector would show different pictures. I'm not even thinking it was a spinning projector with a continuous picture. I'm saying like someone literally took pictures in and out of projector.
One of the ones on a spinner.
No, that's very forward thinking.
Okay.
There's so many shows I need to show you. So basically, you used to be able to take these pictures, put it into a single projector, and it would project the picture. So like, and if you colored the picture, it would almost have color. Okay. So people would pay you money to see that. So Arbuckle would stand up nearby the screen, and he would just sing a song, you know, something like "Oh Danny Boy," and then the projector would, you know, the projectorist would put on like a bunch of pictures from Ireland.
All right.
So that's how he first started making his money. He first started moving around, and he definitely got away from his dad. So in 1906, he played at the Orpheum Theater in Portland, Oregon, and he became the main act, and they took their show on the road again. So at least now he's starting to be like the big kahuna. So on one June day in 1908, Roscoe's coming back from a trip from Los Angeles, and he's sitting on like one of those electric trains coming back from Long Beach. He's dressed meticulously. I mean, this boy came from fucking nothing. Shoeless, you know, sockless. He's got pantaloons on, like... Now he's wearing just beautiful white trousers. He's got white shoes. He's got a blue coat. He's got that straw hat that you see in like all the old like pictures.
Like a Panama hat?
Oh, he's dandy as fuck. And so he's sitting on this electric train, which I'm sure he thinks is fancy. And across the aisle from him, he sees this beautiful blue-eyed girl named Minta Durfee.
There's a name for you.
I know, right? They used to know how to pick them.
Yeah.
So he offers her a smile, and at 17 years old, she thinks he's a fat piece of shit, and she just ignores him and is like, whatever. And then the whole train kind of lurches, and her suitcase, and she kind of goes forward, and he moves the other way and kind of catches the suitcase over her, you know, thinking he's being all gallant. And he kind of pushes the suitcase up and looks her in the eye, and she opens her mouth and she says, "Please don't touch my suitcase. I don't like blondes or fat men. I can manage for myself."
Oh, this girl is savage.
Or, yeah, Minta's the original, like, fucking bitch. Like, oh, cool. All he could say back to her was, "Sorry. Gee, I'm sorry." Like, that's who he was. He was a big, giant guy, but he was...
Canadian.
He was not.
Well,
we know this.
I know, but his acting, that's Canadian right there.
He's always been a big guy. He's always been teased. He thought he looked good. He was being nice, and she talked shit to his face. Like, he just kind of, I'm sorry, and he fell back, you know? So he goes to the first day of rehearsal for their new show. It's called Bide a While, and it's spelled with all Y's. Don't worry. I'm sure you knew it. And, of course, Durfee's there. She's actually Ori in the face of her employer. She's very upset because he just called her a dame.
Oh.
Yeah. So
the original feminist.
He's watching this. He's watching her throw a fucking fit to the guy who is running the show. And he starts laughing at her because he's there too. Because obviously Roscoe Arbuckle is already like one of the mainstreamers of this show. She has no idea. So she looks over at him, sees him, pissed off, walks away, cannot stand it. She's actually a chorus girl. He is a main singer, and he does a dance. So after his first performance, she started paying a lot more attention to him.
Of course.
Well, no, there's actually something about this guy. That's why he's a performer. That's why he's a main act.
Gigantic man who's dancing around.
Dude, he's super agile. He is so fucking smooth. It's like he walks on ice. This guy is just... He's supposed to be sweet all the way through, and he's shy as hell, and she treated him like crap. And she kind of sees, like, the other side of him, like the the look at me, like the smoothness. Like, I mean, every time you see somebody in a show, you realize that they have like a beautiful ability, and it makes you a little bit jealous. You pay more attention. That's the reason why they're up there.
Yeah.
After the first show, they started talking a lot more, and after the shows would end, the two of them, instead of going and drinking and dancing with the rest of the crew, after the second show, the two of them would just go walking hand in hand on the beach. You know, they just thought it was wonderful. And Roscoe actually ended up suggesting to the management that he and, like, female friend do a duet. And so he literally got them to do a show twice a day where they held hands on stage and sang, "Let Me Call You Sweetheart."
Aww.
It was his first relationship.
I'm not judging, I'm just saying aw, because it's diabetic inducing.
Yeah, well, on August 5th, 1908, they got married.
Aw, a
Yeah.
wedding.
Please don't marry your first relationship.
No,
That's
don't.
just my personal opinion, but don't do that.
Like, seriously, don't.
Please. Anyways, they'd only knew each other for about 6 weeks.
Yeah, and if you know anyone for less than 2 months, don't get married to them.
Let me put a picture out there for you. She weighs about 100 pounds. She's almost 5 feet tall. Her husband is about 5'10" and weighs about 300 pounds.
Yeah, it's like a steamroller and a
The very idea of the two of these together literally made people laugh so much that when they did their literal wedding, they sold tickets. People got to see them get married. They were literal show people through and through. She was a chorus girl, he was a singer, but he was a fat boy and she was skinny. Let's do a show. People wanted to see this. By 1909, the local acts start to kind of dry up for Roscoe and his wife, and he starts getting kind of desperate to show that he can provide for his family. You know, he made this promise, he needs to provide. He's the man.
yeah.
He felt kind of degraded by the fact that, you know, he couldn't do that, and he was really doing anything outside of the theater. Like, so he started taking jobs to make money doing Selig shorts for $5 a day. So these were the first, like, little movies, little dime movies. You put a dime in, or probably not even that much, a nickel or something.
Yeah.
And Nickelodeon, you would see a little show for all of a minute, and it would just and it would be silent. And that's what he started doing, because, like, the acting on stage just started to dry up. He didn't even tell his wife. He didn't tell his family. He was totally ashamed of it. So one day, she and her mother, who are living with him, are, you know, they become so involved in, like, his secretness that they decide they have to follow him to work. And
Must be hard to find him in the crowd.
I know. Especially when they find him, he's wearing a fucking bright-ass red jacket. As if that makes any fucking difference. And he's already acting in this, like, little film. And, of course, what does his wife do? She shuts the fuck up. She goes home. She doesn't say anything. She makes him dinner because he's making money, right?
Yeah, of course.
No. She yells at the top of her fucking lungs, "My God, they're making a motion picture!"
Oh no, the humanity.
Roscoe is pissed. He starts screaming, "Go home! Go home!
Get back in the house, woman.
Go home!" He is fucking mortified. He cannot believe that she came down here. She's seeing, like, he's so embarrassed. So when she does. That's what the wife's supposed to do. She goes home, I guess. And when he finally gets home, the mother-in-law, like, confronts him, and he just admits to her, like, "Look, I didn't want Minty to know or to even come down there. First of all, I'm afraid they'll ask her to work. They need people. I'm not going to permit her to work there. It isn't show business. I'm ashamed of this kind of work. But we need the money."
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can be ashamed of it, but it's funny how you look at that and, like, you know, obviously we know how the story's going to end.
These, you know, if you're a movie actor now, you are the A-list. You're the top of the top. But at this point, it's fucking shameful. It's like being a stripper when you used to be, like, a ballerina. Like, he is so ashamed of it. And the fact is like, he's got no money because both of them are show people. He's so proud of that. Like, he loved it since he was a kid.
Yeah.
You know? And now, like, he's doing $5 a day, and he's just acting like a clown, and he doesn't want his wife to be in there. He wants to provide for her. So after she figures out that he's doing like all this nonsense, he actually gets some work, and they both get work in a traveling show from the West Coast, and then they even go to Japan and China, and they're both acting. But they returned home by 1910, and they're poor and they're unemployed. They didn't save a single dollar while they were on the road. This was purely to get their name out there, and it didn't do a whole lot of good.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. So by 1913, Arbuckle joined the Universal Studios and the Funny Factory, and he starred in a little movie called Keystone Cops.
And if all you guys know that, well, you know more than I do.
Well, if you know the term Universal Studios,
I think I might have heard of that one.
when the Funny Factory is where all the top comedians joined in together. Remember now, he still feels totally ashamed. Like, this is like a mockery. So he's just doing little films, little acting, and they're not doing like a film a year, a film every 3 years. They're doing about 40 a year.
That's a lot of film.
Yeah, they're pumping it out hard. And he joins these guys, and by his second film, he's actually acting as a lead role, which any actor would tell you they would literally probably murder somebody for that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No problem at all. And I don't blame them. He is working a lot, and he's getting good roles, and he would become like what's known as one of the Hollywood elite. He knows Charlie Chaplin. He knows Buster Keaton. Buster Keaton actually
keep saying Buster Keaton like I'm supposed to know who
You
that
should
is.
fucking know who Buster Keaton is.
I don't.
He did some of the most elaborate stunts, scenes. He made what you see like Jackie Chan do. Jackie Chan probably couldn't do half of what he does today without Buster Keaton kind of imagining what choreography could be to cinema.
Okay.
And I'm going to sit you down after this and wish I had done it before we even started recording, because you should like you should know. It's worthwhile.
Yeah, you're just saying his name all day. And
He's
I'm like,
amazing.
Okay.
But he got his debut with Roscoe in 1917 in a little picture called The Butcher Boy, which again I watched. Nope. And it's an awesome little short. It's got a pit bull, which is amazing. He runs like on a little like treadmill because he's a good boy doing good boy stuff, and he helps with the grain. But you actually, by watching that little short, I urge you guys to do it at least for like five minutes. It's not a lot of time. 3 minutes, whatever.
It's 2018. That's a lot of time.
Look, it just shows you like the grace, the agility. You know that they couldn't do that many shots of this. So how they throw things, they move stuff, people get thrown through the air. It's impressive. And then when you start giving them like the extra thought of, wow, how many takes could they possibly have done to get this done? And look how big that guy is to like be that graceful and flying through the air like that. Or like, you see the physical humor. We've lost a lot of physical humor, and we like for people to dumb it down and give us a fart joke, like, to our face.
Yeah,
but
we're a dumb
personally,
society. Yeah,
I don't like the pink eye humor. So, like, I like when a person can make me laugh just by, like, doing their own job. It's just, he's fantastic. I'm not going to lie. So, like, give it a look. It's called Butcher Boy. But he does that show, and that's, like, Buster Keaton's first, like, break into movies. And by then, I assure you, he's already producing, okay? So, Roscoe is extremely self-conscious of himself. He's heavy. He hates people making fun of him for being fat. He refused to allow the studios to kind of fixate on only jokes about his weight. And so he'd rather go for like, look, I can make this physical joke. Like, yeah, I can lift a car. Look how strong I am. Maybe you don't have to make a point that every time I sit in a chair, it breaks. Come on.
He doesn't want them to go for the low-hanging fruit. And I mean, who can really blame him on that, you know? Be a little bit more creative, Hollywood.
But still, he's a vaudeville actor, and he goes for it, and he does a good job at it. But they really amp it up, and you can tell that with the makeup and, like, the clothes they pick for him. Like, the more baggy, the better. The fatter they can make him, the more awesome. I mean, he's known for sight gags. He does chase scenes. He's actually one of the first pie throws ever recorded, which is in 1913 with Mabel Normand in a movie called A Noise from the Deep. he's in there, and she's actually one of the first directors herself, and she's the one that makes him become a director. She's making so much freaking money. So by the end of 1913, he's already filming in 36 films. By 1913, Little Miss Normand is directing her first film, and she's telling Arbuckle, what the hell are you doing, kid? You need to get on the action while it's hot. So he starts to direct his own films by 1914.
Oh, look at them.
Well, it's just like podcasting. It was a new thing. This, I know a guy who knows a guy. You just are the guy. You're fucking there. And if you want it, fight for it. Mabel Normand is an amazing person, and we're going to talk about her one day. But basically, she jumped in there. She was an actress. She became a director before most men had the balls to step up and be directors.
Did she murder someone or get involved with a cult? Is that what we're going to talk about her?
No, she was just a very strong-willed, good person who did her job right.
All right.
That's pretty amazing in its own, I guess, nowadays.
Yeah.
So, in 1916... Paramount Pictures made an offer to Roscoe of about $1,000 a day plus 25% of all profits, and then complete artistic control of any movie that he made with him or Norman. So basically, he sucked the devil's cock, because I don't know how you make that deal anymore.
You don't.
Nowadays, that would be $24,652 a day.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. So his wife Minta starts feeling that this starts to be the end of their marriage. Him acceding to this point, him taking on Paramount is the end, because he doesn't even discuss the move to Paramount with her before taking the contract. He just accepts it, comes home and lets her know, hey honey, I moved to Paramount.
Yeah, they gave me more money.
And also, guess where you'll never be working ever again. Because you're my wife. So, 1916, he experienced a huge health problem, and is especially kind of coerced along with his drinking problem. And so he got an infection of the leg, which is called a carbuncle.
Arbuckle the carbuncle.
Yes, I know, right? Arbuckle the carbuncle. And it is a cloister of boils that causes bacterial infection.
Yum.
Moist.
Yeah, I don't like this body shit, so if people can just stop getting sick, that'd be great.
He actually refuses to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Because he fears the publicity getting out about him being sick or going to a hospital. Like, even nowadays, like, the magazines have started following these people. Like, they're starting to be people that get pictured a lot. And the studios are starting to put really strict rules on your behavior or what you should be seen doing. So going to a hospital is not really a great thing to be seen done.
Sorry, that's not quite A-list, sir. You gotta just stay at home and deal with it, or just don't get sick.
Well, so his wife ends up trying to fix the problem by convincing a hospital intern to start doing discreet visits to their home.
Last time that happened, we had Carl.
And after that, poor Michael Jackson went to sleep forever.
Forgot about that.
So,
I guess that's better than being shipped around in a guy's yard, though.
All right. So the intern starts coming, weekly, daily visits, and he's injecting Roscoe with morphine, and he's also cutting open the carbuncle. So, remember, it's a cloister of boils.
Yeah, no, I
and now he's slitting it open so that it can... And he's giving it to drain out all the pus, and on top of that, he's just doing a bunch of morphine prescriptions to offset the pain.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, and, I mean, I know it's a shocker. Get ready. Hold your hand to your chest.
Already in.
Right here. You ready? I got the salts and all that. He becomes a morphine addict.
Oh, my pearls.
I'm clutching him. Don't touch him. His leg isn't healing. And so the intern starts telling his wife, I think we need to amputate this thing. This might be necessary. And this is a guy who relies on his physical, abilities? Acting.
Yeah.
This is not movies where you talk. Everything's about how he looks. You want him to be a giant guy on a peg leg? No. So his wife has him taken to Caspar Cone Hospital, and they save his leg. They manage to probably get him on antibiotics. It's not coming off. It gets cleaned up. Unofficially, at the same time, he's entered into a drug program where he's placed into a padded room for 12 days in order to quit his morphine addiction, cold turkey.
Oh, so they sent him to South Florida is what you're saying.
No, there's no medicine. There's no, here's a padded room and 12 days, hopefully you come out alive.
That's great.
In those 12 days, he lost over 80 pounds, and he was down to about 193 pounds. So he was like an average guy. He wasn't quite the fatty everybody remembered. And when he tried to do his comeback tour, being the fatty not everybody remembered, it didn't go so well. People weren't very happy, and so he needed to start acting again, and he needed to start eating and partying and interacting the same way he did before he went into this whole unofficial program, right?
Yeah.
So in order to get his whole scene back together, he decides to go on to a comeback show. And it's a tour with the studio and his company, and they go on a train for 23 shows from the Pacific to the Atlantic. But according to the writers Robert Grant and Joseph Kratz, in February of 1917, Arbuckle was involved in an orgy in Boston where he was finishing up said tour.
That sounds like fun.
It sounds like a shit ton of fun to me. You don't want to go to an orgy?
No.
Not with a giant fat guy who's gaining weight back?
No, there's a bunch of bodies there. It's disgusting.
So the same authors claim most likely he wasn't, a part of the actual orgy.
Oh, yeah,
but,
he's just attending.
He was
and watching
there,
from the side.
which is such bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a fat guy. Nobody fuck him. Screw you. Yes, they would. And this actually haunted Roscoe for the rest of his life, right? So following his recovery from almost losing his leg and having to do this whole tour, it was a big deal on his already pretend marriage that he was still having with his wife because she cared for him. But at this point, he moves into the Friars Club in New Manhattan Clubhouse, and he's just claiming that he needs to be living at this club because of the massages and the baths and it helps him heal and blah blah blah. And his wife is moving in with her sister and brother-in-law into their Manhattan apartment.
All right.
The marriage is done. It's over. However, this does not look good, and they both know it, and it can't happen. So divorce is not seen as even a possibility because the film industry says so, and they just end up signing a separation, and they agree that he's going to pay her $500 a week and pretend to be married, and she lives her life and he lives his. So Roscoe begins starting his own film company. So you think $500 a week doesn't sound like much, and then I would say, yeah, it is a lot at that time. $500 a week seems like a lot.
Hell, it's a lot right now.
And by then, just triple it, right? Equivalent. He's got so much money that he starts his own film company called Comique. And then he ends up transferring that just a couple years later in 1918 over to Buster Keaton.
This guy's everywhere.
Yeah, that's all because he accepts his Paramount offer, and he ends up making 18 films for the next 3 years for $3 million at the time.
That's a nice chunk of change.
That's $54 million today, baby.
Yeah, that's a lot of chunk of change. That just sounds weird when you say it that way.
I freaking love it. Oh, I want to be that rich. So, on May 5th, 1919, Roscoe bought the controlling interest in the Pacific Coast League Vernon Tigers baseball team. They don't exist anymore. Vernon Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all know them, right? It's going to make him the first celebrity to actually own a sports franchise.
Oh, I thought Jay-Z did it first.
Nope. Fatty Arbuckle did, and unfortunately, they're not great.
Yeah.
Surprise, I know.
I mean, because they're here today.
Total shocker.
Know they've turned themselves around the past 100 years.
Yeah, and that's just my point is with Roscoe Arbuckle, he's finally made it. The kid came from nothing. He, dragged his way up, and he thought he was going to do it through like the theater, and he thought he was going to be amazing. And now he's got wealth and riches flowing out of his butt from Hollywood, something he was embarrassed of in the first place. But he's doing amazing now.
Yeah.
And frankly, he bought this team, and he would later say the whole reason he bought it was as a favor. And that's Fatty Arbuckle right there. Of course, if you were his buddy, you'd never call him Fatty. But if you asked Roscoe for anything, the guy would do it. He'd pay for it. He'd buy it for you.
Yeah.
So he did this for the guy who would be the manager of the team, Lou Anger. And the wife was the sister-in-law of the team's pitcher. So, like,
really?
It's all like a big favor, and he could afford it, so he's doing it, you know? And he'd show up, and it looked like good publicity, and he'd sign some, sign away his autograph and kind of stuff, and it would look good. And this is all just, like, right before Prohibition took effect. And Roscoe's a huge drinker. Loves the alcohol.
Yeah, didn't he get caught up in that when he was like, or he got him with morphine, but he got an alcoholic like early on.
Very early on. Like
saying,
back when he was with Minta and they were still traveling, like
That's right.
he kind of started getting into the alcohol and doing that more than spending time with her.
Hitting the sauce.
So he's very much in love with it. And the thing is like when you got the money, the liquor flows, right?
Yeah.
So at this time, he goes and buys himself a house. It's called the West Adams Mansion. It was about $250,000 at the time, and he claimed he bought it just to save its seller.
All right, that sounds like a...
He said he bought it just to save his seller.
Oh, his seller.
Yeah. He loved his alcohol, wanted to save it from Prohibition. Now, here's the fun thing with Prohibition. If you own it, if it's yours, it's in your house, that's fine. You can't buy alcohol after Prohibition. They can't take it away from your home once you have it.
Oh, okay.
It's a loophole.
It's getting the sale and distribution of it. Oh, we were watching Boardwalk Empire. We know how it works.
Yeah. Everybody, all of us, we all sat down and watched it. It was fun.
Yeah, you guys have
Were
seen
you not
it.
there? Do you not remember?
It's a good show with that guy there and the other guy and the thing.
And we ate that stuff, and that one guy, like,
And
kind of making those silent farts, but you knew who it was.
And the movie's in Atlantic City. Yeah, it makes it actually look pretty.
So anyways, Roscoe is living in this big, huge mansion, and he is making it as gaudy as freaking possible. This is the poor kid who's brought himself up. He loves shinier the better, the more gold, more obvious, more bright, the more you want to look at it, the better for him, because that makes him feel like he's made it. It makes him feel wanted, and he's doing that to this big, huge house, and it's only him and 2 Japanese immigrants who are just the maid and the butler. And he's got 3 big dogs, and, Minta says he seemed pretty happy.
Yeah.
Him, his dogs, he gets to work in his garage. It's awesome. And just as much as, like, he's decorating the house to be, like, gaudy and big, he now also loves cars. And those are kind of a newer thing, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of like a new time for cars.
But not that new. So by now we're actually getting, like, roadsters and, like, specialized cars and the luxury models, right? And so since he's such an aficionado at it, he goes out and he buys himself a new Pierce Arrow. And it's his pride and joy. This is his baby. So we're going to post pictures of it, but if you can't stand it, if you can't wait, go on and look for it now. It's a gigantic car. This thing freaking might be the size of like 2 Cadillacs put together, Yeah,
these pictures will definitely be on the Instagram, so by the time you're listening to that, you'll just be able to find us and we'll show them to you.
Yeah, we're going to post so many pictures of it. This thing is so cool. In April of 1920, the company actually delivered the car because they had to modify it first because the car's worth $6,000. Originally, he put $28,000 worth of work into this thing.
That's like 3 times as much the car's worth and then some.
Yeah, it's like bright neon purple, white tires. It's reshaped the hood, and there's like the cowl is different. There's a whole bunch of added features, and the back seat is a mahogany cabinet where he can hide his liquor. He's got his, like, letter A monogrammed on everything, because he's the Arbuckle.
Yeah, you gotta make sure everyone knows who you are.
I mean, literally, when he would go driving...
a purple car isn't gonna be enough.
He loved it. And when he drove places, people came out to look. And
of course they
sometimes certain towns, like, the police would have to cordon it off just so he could drive down the road. and Arbuckle loved it. I mean, Roscoe was sitting there waving that big fat chubby hand out the window, just enjoying life. You know what I mean? And so it's in this car that Roscoe decides to take his Labor Day weekend trip to San Francisco, the same weekend that Virginia Rappe's going. It's just, the separation from like Minta is really getting at him. He's got a really tough workload. I mean, and he's tired, and he's supposed to be going to like a reception to kind of promote the new film that's coming out. But he's a little exhausted, and he's doing so well they can all kiss his butt.
Yeah.
His giant, like, triple Xmas sized booty. But anyways, he decides he's going on a trip with two of his friends, and he's going with Lowell Sherman and Fred Fishback. And, the fact is like he's tired, he's overworked, and he's got a 2nd-degree burn on his ass from an incident where he sat on a chemical-soaked rag while he was working in his car. So he has a chemical burn on his butt.
That's not going to feel good.
I have actually seen someone with a chemical burn on their ass, and it makes you gag. It is freaking awful.
It's part of the human body, of course. It's going to make me gag. So.
It looks like road rash, but you didn't do it. You didn't do anything. It looks terrible. It looks like it hurts so much. So despite the fact that he basically had a 2nd-degree burn, he just needed to get away. So they go down to San Francisco, and they check into the St. Francis Hotel and get 3 rooms. 1219 for Roscoe and his friend Fishback, and then 1221 for Sherman, and we got 1220 for the party room.
All right, that's the way to do it.
Right, and if you're going to have a big party weekend, what better than to have all the booze, all the music, and all the friends? So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it here because this was uber long either way, putting their stories out there. We wanted you to get to know these people the way like everyone used to see them before we tell you the insane thing that's about to happen. And that will be in the next episode. So go ahead and click on that, fast forward, and we will tell you the criminal case of Fatty Roscoe Arbuckle and Virginia Rappe.
So we'll see you guys on the next one real quick.
See you then.